Welcome to part 12 of this Learning JavaScript playlist. In this video, we are gonna look at object-oriented programming or classes. Last video with the event loop and the set timeout, I told you the next one was gonna be promises and the async await for code that takes time. But building our first promise means writing something called a class, and I thought it would be better to squeeze in this OOP video, so then later the code for the promises and the await and the thing does not feel like just magic code and who knows what's doing inside. So just like a brief intro into OOP. So let's get started. So let me just start off where we left off on video number 8 or part 8 with an object. Name and then colons, latte, comma, price 4.5, and then describe, which is a function, and return name, and then plus, and then plus this dot price to fixed, and then this to fixed takes an argument of the number, the number of digits. I don't know. Console.log and then latte.describe. This needs calling, so we need a parenthesis. Let's run this, save. Here we go. So nothing new yet. Name and price are properties. Describe is a method or a function stored as a property inside, and inside it, this means the object this method was called on. So this dot name means latte. Now, if the shop has more than one drink, let me just copy paste all this stuff. Now is a const, and the name we're gonna put it to house blend, and the price is 3. So now run. There. The describe function is the same, but this name now in this console.log is house blend, right? Nothing new. Okay, so then just to exaggerate the point I want to make, what if we want now we add another item to our menu, Americano, and then the name is just Americano, and the price is 3.75, and then we American. Save. Here. So here's where I start to feel some kind of annoyance, because this is the whole reason classes exist. So look at the describe function. We wrote it, we have to, well, we copy pasted, but it's copy pasted 3 times. So if we decide now that we don't want it like this, and we want it with 2 dashes. Now we have to change it everywhere. Or if we want a price symbol or whatever, no? So we will need to change this. Imagine now we have 20 drinks and we need to change how we describe each one. We need to change this in 20 places. So what we actually want is to describe a drink once, and or our coffee. So here's what every coffee has a name, and here's what every coffee can do, and here's what every coffee has a price. So we need that. It's like a template. In JavaScript, that template is a class. So let me delete the whole thing. Class coffee. We can name this whatever we want, like drink or whatever. So here's everything, and then we'll go through it. Constructor, name, comma, price, and these are variables I am naming how I want. This dot name, this dot price equals price. Okay, let me keep going. And then our function, describe, takes no parameters, and then our block of code, return this dot name plus, and then our little thingy, this dot price dot to why is it not working? This dot price to fixed to, I don't know. So that's it. So new words, class coffee. So we are defining a template and calling it coffee, and we are using a capital C by convention. So we can tell between classes apart from regular variables just at a glance, and this is just by convention. So this itself is not a coffee, this is the idea of a coffee. Still no actual drink exists. And then we have this constructor. So this constructor is a special method that comes within classes, and it's a setup function that runs every time we make a new coffee. And it assigns, in this case, we specified 2 things, a name and a price. For each coffee we sell in our coffee shop, we will specify a name and a price. And then the same describe method we had like before, right? So now let's use our template. So this is when new coffee, and then latte 4.5, and then yes, I know, copy pasting, but no, does not work. All right, Americano, and then here Americano and 3.75, and then our house blend. Nothing screams at us, so that means everything ran okay. So this is another new word, and the new word is new. So this new makes a fresh empty object, coffee object, and runs the constructor with the arguments passed. In this case, with these two arguments passed to this constructor function, and it assigns to this latte object latte. So better if console.log, if we do the latte.name, there, latte. So to this object, to this coffee object, assigns .name to be the name we pass in as an argument, in this case latte. Does this make sense? Does this make sense? Of course we could name this X, Y, and Z. Why would we do that? Well, I don't know. There. Our X object is latte. Does not make sense, but just educational purposes, these names, I put them here because I want to, and these are arguments we pass into these, which are objects. Console.log type of latte, save. Here it is an object. And of course, if we console.log our latte.describe, and this needs text parentheses because we need to run it. Save. It describes the object. And Americano, and house. Save. Here. And if we change our once, this thing here, it changes just one place. We change how we describe an object, and of course when we create these objects, they all get this same describe function attached to them. So each one of these objects, coffee objects, are called an instance. Latte is an instance of coffee. Americano is another instance of the class objects. These are the same class but are separate objects. Let's add another function. Apply discount amount, and then our block of code to this object, price equals this dot price minus the amount. Save. All right, and then let's latte dot apply discount of 50 cents, and then let's console log them again. Run, Control S here. So we run it first, and here's our latte with 450, 375, and 3. And then we apply the discount to the latte instance, and then now the latte is 4, but the rest objects are untouched. Okay, so let's come back to this for a second. Console.log, and then the type of latte, their object, and then let's console.log is instance of coffee, true. So object, so type latte object, we already saw this, and is instance of coffee, true. So classes are not unused pieces of a thing. It's a factory that builds the same plain object we've had since part 8. The ones with properties we read with a dot, and methods that use this. All a class did was save us from writing them out one by hand. So let me go ahead and delete this whole thing, save, and let's do another class order, and then have our constructor and take drink, price, and on ready. It's gonna take 3 parameters, and then our block of code. So this dot drink, and this is equal to the drink we supply, and then this dot price, and then this is the tricky part. On ready, we are gonna pass in a function. So we are gonna run it like this, but it will take 2 parameters. This dot drink and this dot price, which are the ones that we supplied. Is this confusing enough? Yeah. All right, so let's create a new order. And then latte 4.5, and then let's pass in an anonymous function like this. but we need to supply it with two. It takes two parameters. So name and cost. And what's it gonna do? It is gonna console.log name plus is ready, and then plus cost dot to fixed to, and that's it. Let me run it. There we go. Latte is ready. So what's going on here? We did not call our function. This function we created inside this block of code. We created it, we wrote it and passed it as a parameter when we created an order object. When we create a new order object, this runs the constructor. So the constructor assigns to the object its drink and its price and runs the function we passed in with the two parameters we require. So it's being run here and takes two parameters because we described it that way. Our function takes two parameters. So here we are calling it with two parameters. And we are using this dot drink and this dot price as parameters for our function. Does this make any sense at all? So right now our constructor takes drink, price, and a callback. So then we could flip it around so the constructor only accepts a function on ready, and then we execute the onReady with a latte and 4.5, and then our new order just runs with name and price and price to fixed. So let's run this. There. Is that more confusing? So let me change my callback. Let's just console.log the name and console.log the price. Simple enough. Here. So we're starting to dive into the deep end here with this. It's just the same thing, but just passing functions to the constructor to create the object, the order object. So it gets weirder. Here we go. Because when we get to the promise objects that fetch returns, so they don't seem super weird. So let's class order, and then our constructor will take a function, and we're gonna name it executor. Why? Because I want to. And then function ready will take two, name comma price. So I'm gonna just type it out and then we can talk about it. Console log name plus ready, and then console log the price. All right, then this constructor declares a function, and then we declare another function console.log order failed, and then comma reason, and then our constructor will run our executor function we pass in and run it with ready, and we are gonna pass two functions to our function. So is this deep enough down the rabbit hole? For me it is. Order, and then here we pass a callback like this, right? And our callback takes ready and failed, and then ready latte 4.5. So we are missing the little arrow, that's why these squiggly lines. So this is the proper definition of the callback function, right? The parameters, the arrow, and the block of code. So let me Control S to save and run this. Here we go, latte is ready, 4.5. Ready with these two parameters. So notice something interesting. The constructor did not pass data, it passed functions to our callback. Here we could have named this anything. We run the function we pass to the constructor when we create a new order object, right? Let me save here, same thing. So when we create a new order, the class object or method or thing creates a new object and runs this constructor, right? So the constructor declares two functions and then passes them as arguments to the callback function. So when we run, so when we declare the callback function here, it takes these two arguments, and these two arguments are run. Well, here we are just running one, so let's run the other. If true, then do the ready, and then else we can do the failed. Failed, and then failed takes in just one param. The reason, well, ran out of coffee. Sorry. So we run this, and then latte is ready. And then here's a whole thing that runs to evaluate to false. And then we run this, and then order failed, ran out of coffee. So why all these? Will this will be clear why I'm doing this, because this is how the promise object kind of works. Well, we'll check that out on the next video. So I hope this video was not too confusing, because this stuff is a bit confusing for me. So I hope I did not confuse you more. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.